Hello, this is Sam. Welcome to Sam's Tarot. Glad you can make it. This is day number 18. No, 19. Day number 19 of the 31 Days of Tarot. The 31 Days of Tarot is a series of videos put out by a lot of content creators here on YouTube, as well as shared in the other social media such as Instagram and Facebook. Beloved Anthony actually provides the prompts, and she has been doing so for like the last 5 years. And so props to her. Links to her YouTube channel as well as her Facebook group, the Tarot Readers Academy, is in the description below. So please make sure you go check her channel out. Subscribe if you like her stuff, please. And of course, if you are an aspiring tarot reader or an enthusiast or already reading, by all means, I'd like to recommend and welcome you over to the Facebook group. It's a great little community there. I have been on the Facebook group probably about a year now, a little over a year. And it's only been recently that I've been being a little bit more active than the occasional thumbs up on something, or as I usually respond to anytime someone asks me or not me, but asks the group what books they recommend. I am always jumping in with the Holistic Tarot by Benabel. But lately I've been trying to get more active and be more community orientated and making friends. So, which I have to say, this 31 Days of Tarot has done an awesome job. And I'm recording this and the previous couple videos you may have watched all in the same day here in early January. And some of the people that I've met already becoming fast online friends. And we've been commenting on each other's videos and enjoying each other's videos and content. So it's already been very, very heartwarming. You may or may not see a cat poke his head up, her head up, excuse me. Her name's Bonnie. She's the one-eyed pirate kitty. So if you like what you see here, make sure you hit that like button, the thumbs up. By all means, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell icon notification, so that way when I put up new content, you'll be aware of it. For 31 Days of Tarot, I think I have about like 17 videos that will be up in the month of January here. To give you an idea of how often I put up content, or have been before that, it was like 2 months since my last video before that. And I think I only did like 4 or 5 videos total in 2019. I am planning on doing more videos here in 2020. I'm not sure whether they'll come out weekly, bi-weekly, or what. Still trying to get used to talking to a camera, sharing my thoughts out there. So I know it might not seem like it, but I'm kind of an introvert, and then I have anxiety issues, and this spikes my anxiety like would not believe. So but I'm happy to be doing this, and again, making lots of new friends. So thank you. So today's topic is, what decks do you think are good for ritual and magic work? And there's two that I chose to share that I think are really good for these things. I may have mentioned in the last video, if not, I'll mention again, of course. My beginnings in anything esoteric started with shamanism, European paganism, and Nordic, and then moved more into ritual, ceremonial, hermetic, Golden Dawn, Enochian, and this sort of stuff. Then all the way through this, all interweaving has been the tarot, and lately some oracle cards. So I still have a deep connection to kind of my roots, if you will. But I still do a lot of ritual and quote-unquote high magic, which is really just a polite way of saying I do a lot of ritual prayer, really is what it comes down to. So one of the decks that I find that is really good for ritual is the Hermetic Tarot, and it is a black and white tarot. Here are the backs, and I got those cards. There is a little bit of nudity on these cards, so if that's not your thing, turn your head. But what's really neat about the Hermetic deck is that if there is a title to the card, which in most cases there are, I think there's only a few cards that might not have a title to them. They are listed. The alchemical illustrations are provided, as well as the astrological signs. And everything on the card is there for a very specific reason. None of it is there just to enhance the beauty, enhance the artwork. It is a very functional symbolic deck where everything is a symbol. Everything does mean something. A lot of the titles of the cards are the same as the top deck. I'll be honest, I don't know if there is any difference in the titles. I will actually look that up and at some point probably talk more about it. Which wouldn't be surprising, if they were the exact same. And I think the more I'm looking at the titles, the more I'm thinking that they are. But anyway, the symbology on these cards are perfect for correspondence work and stuff like that, especially if you're doing anything with the planetary alignments, doing anything with astrological influences, and of course anything related to Kabbalistic tree of life. That's Bonnie over there in the windowsill, which is odd because she normally doesn't sit there. So that's her trying to get attention, I think. Anyway, so this is her Hermetic deck. It's a beautiful deck. It's one that I don't bring out a lot. I actually bring out the next deck that I'm about to show you, the top deck, more often than this one. There is a third deck that I haven't been using yet, but want to, and that's Night Sun Tarot. It reminds me a lot of Hermetic Tarot in that there's a lot of symbology and everything is there for a reason. So the next one is a top deck. Now I've got 3 top decks. I've got the Thoth Millennial, the Golden Thoth, which is simply gold edged, and then the standard large Thoth. And if you're familiar with the Thoth deck at all, these were recently put back in order, so yeah, so when I flip them, they will be in order. But everything relates to the symbology of what the card is, down to the colors used and the colors blended. So there is color magic at work within the deck itself. You have the Kabbalistic tree of life symbology. Let me show you a good example of that one. And of course, when I say that now, I'm having a hard time saying or finding any of them. Go figure. There's a lot of symbolism from astrological and planetary signs. Again, the colors used are there for a very specific purpose. And when this deck was released back in, I think it was 1951, which is before my time, But I've heard and talked to people that describe that this deck was at the time mind blowing because it had these colors that were just flashy and sometimes considered grotesque. It had symbology that people were not used to and feared, everything from various heptagrams and pentagrams on it to, you know, old mysterious hieroglyphs and stuff from Egypt. And then combining that with astrological signs as well as Hebrew letters and therefore Hebrew numerology. And then again, chemical pictures and sigils, and all of it in this very distinctive artistic style. And I was just reading the other day, uh, Lady Frida Harris, who is the artist for this deck, was actually studying underneath this other artist who pioneered this particular art style. Um, and was one of only, like, I want to say 3 or 4 students that learned directly from him. And just the perception, the views, how we see him, and the vectoring is just to me incredible. There are several people online and within the tarot community here in YouTube that uses the top deck. Many of them I think are probably even more knowledgeable than I am on the subjects. Um, Especially considering that I took quite the hiatus and I've only been back in it for about a year or two. Um, but just I've always been fascinated by the deck and the colorization. And again, this was actually my first deck, and it was way back in the early '80s, and it was the original white box. Um, and back then, they didn't have the border, so the Roscarian cross on the background was full frame. And that said, I don't think there's anything special or not special or anything like that between editions. There's slight color variances, but to me they're slight. It really comes down to more vividness or less vividness. It comes down to a little bit different artistic style of all things on the borders themselves. But honestly, I don't see all that much difference. The thing that the newer decks do lack is the choice of 2 alternate Magus cards, the Magician in traditional decks. And my understanding of all that is the Ordo Temple Orientis owns the copyright for the top deck. And therefore, when US Games and AG, I think it's AG, were first producing these decks in the 90s, which included the extra cards and the extra Magus cards, were actually breaking copyright law because, again, the copyright was owned by the OTO. So, leap forward several years, I think it was almost a whole decade, all that got put behind, and these were allowed to be reissued again by US Games. And I believe AG as well over in Europe. Love this. All the sacred geometry within that. Just incredible. Um, well, anyway, they were allowed to reissue, but it looks like when they were reissuing, they were not allowed to reissue the extra Magus cards. So there is a part of me that misses those. And my previous top deck, which was a blue box from AG, I don't know what happened to it. I lost it somewhere in one of my moves. Probably most specifically the move here to Texas. So it is a distinct possibility that it may again show up at some point. There are still My wife and I are very slow at unpacking, so we still have boxes from moving here 4 years ago that we actually haven't even opened. Or if we have opened, we haven't found a new home for it. So it's always a possibility I could still come across the deck at some point. And if I do, I will be one happy camper. But in the meantime, it is still back to the start. Still this deck, and this deck always have and always will have a place in my heart. And within my one of my major go-to decks. Anyway, that is the decks that I believe work really well in ritual and ceremonial magic. This one more for visionary and vision work, and correspondence, with the Hermetic deck being just about the correspondences. And then later on this year, when I learn the deck more, I also intend to start using a Night Sun Tarot in that capacity. And when that happens, I will let you know how those worked out. And that is that. Again, if you like the content, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. If you are a content provider working with the 31 Days of Tarot, please leave a link to your video in the comments below. And if anything, to make sure that I take the time to go watch it myself, because I am interested in seeing other people's contributions and other people's ideas and concepts. And that's what I think we're all here for. So thank you again for joining me today, and I will talk to you again soon. Till then, have a great day and goodbye.